47 minutes after 10 p.m. Central African time. Tyler there alongside Sean Paul. What a blast from the past. That one titled Push to Start. And this is how we get into our very first conversation. If you've just joined us, we are about to talk romance. Okay? Relationships. Intimate, romantic relationships. Before we get into that conversation, I want you to have a listen to this audio clip. This one is courtesy of Themba Tom Ntuli, and he's addressing a particular aspect of romantic relationships. I want you to have a listen, steady pacing while you're doing, because the conversation that follows allows Mr. Themba Tom to explain to us what exactly he meant by this.
Sanwanani, please borrow me your ears. I've got something to share with you. Listen, it is way better to be loved in private and not to be paraded much on social media than to be paraded on social media and not be loved in private, right? Of course, it's always great to be loved both in private and be shown in public, but it is way better to receive love, true love, in private, if they push you much on social media. I am not talking about you being hidden. I'm not talking about a man that hides you or a woman that hides you. I'm talking about someone that loves you and you know they love you, but they're not so much into the social media space. So it's way better to be loved in private, dearly, than to be paraded on social media and be made a fool because you're not loved in private. Think about it. Sure.
Tom, I am thinking about it. But I'm blessed, and we are blessed, because we don't have to think about it ourselves. Joining us this evening is Themba Tom Ntuli, who is the head of medical and scientific affairs at a global pharmaceutical company. But today we address him as a relationship and leadership consultant. Mr. Tom, how are you?
Hi, Shayla. I'm all right. Thanks for asking. How are you doing?
I am traumatized. Hore, I was listening to that. I said, wait a minute. Hands on hip. What is going on? What inspired that message?
Look, thank you so much for having me. It's always an honor. Well, there's a number of things. Okay, as someone who is a relationship and leadership consultant, I have the privilege of speaking to a number of people, people who are in relationships, people who have broken off relationships, people who are married, those who are planning to be married. And I've seen there is a bit of a distortion between what's happening on social media and the reality. And often than not, we often get to be caught up in the likes and the shares on social media. We want to be celebrated and be loved publicly, but more often than not, what I realize is that those relationships often lack a certain level of depth, simply because we are focusing on the applause. We are focusing on what people are, want to see and want to love and want to celebrate. So, that gave me a thought to say, listen, more often than not, instead of you fighting and asking your partner to publicly parade you, you'd rather have your partner love you privately. You'd rather have your partner invest all the relationship to be more about the depth of the relationship than it being shallow. Because truth of the matter is, social media gives you a shadow of what the reality of what the real thing is. And more often than not, people get to be caught up in that, in the shadow, and not look into the depth of the relationship. I've seen couples that are a couple goal in public, but they are struggling to actually resolve their issues privately. I've seen couples that can do a great video in public but cannot resolve or talk about what's in their hearts in private. I've seen couples that can kiss and touch in public, and have public display of affection, but can hardly hug each other in their private spaces. So we need to change that narrative to say it's not all about the likes and the shares. It's actually about what's happening in the private space.
Mr. Tom, listen, for us aspirants of Mjolo, aspirants of marriage, already you're coming with a very hot club bag. My brain is like, what? Wait, I had hope. I had dreams. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because when I was listening to you, it did to an extent sound like you're talking about two groups of people, right? They are those who aren't necessarily the most vocal on social media. So you won't know who their partner is or what they get up to, right? Or you might know who their partner is, but know another facet of their life more like maybe they're lifestyle content creators, right? So that's a particular context. I want to speak to the everyday Joe, aka Shayla. Yes? Where Shayla is batong, she just wants a little bit of a postanyana, say my cute girlfriend, something like that. I mean, listen, a cute this, a cute that. And it almost feels like there's a danger into publicizing your relationship twofold. Firstly, if it doesn't work out, then that's egg on my face. Yeah. But secondly, there's something interesting about part of the statement that you said, and I was listening to other clips as well, where there is an illusion, or there's this statement, or I want to say phrase, because that's what I kept on hearing. It's almost like people will hyper express their sentiment for you because there's nothing to express in private. And that for me is scary. Outside the content creation lifestyle thing, just somebody overextending themselves in the public eye, yet in private, there's nothing to give. And so let's talk about that for a second. What happened? How did we get there in 2025?
Look, there's a number of things, and I must say this, Sheila, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be posted and your partner bragging about you. In fact, there is a bit of safety in that as well, right? Because then people get to know whom you're in a relationship with, and that also protects you. I've been in spaces where I am checking in a hotel, and people ask me questions about my wife, people like that I don't know, So the fact that I time and again talk about my wife, talk about my spouse, this, that, and the other on socials, has sort of like protected me in a number of ways. Right? So there is some sense of security, because there's a difference between being hidden, something that is private, and something that is secret. The two are not the same, right? I mean, you can have a private relationship that is not secret. Okay, so and more often than not, partners that do not want to post their partners or and their girlfriends or their boyfriends on social media, then the question is, are they really private, or they are secretive about the relationship, right? So there is a bit of safety in you showing it and talking about it time and again, but it must not be done in public only. You'd be shocked, Sheila, that there are people, there are people that really do not hear their partner say, I love you, you are beautiful, and they only get to hear them in public, right? I mean, you are staying with your partner in the house, she dresses up or he dresses up, he smells nice, you don't say anything, you leave the house. When you're in public, you start shouting them with praises. You tell them how beautiful they are, how handsome they are, this, that, and the other. And that's how most relationships get to be broken. Because the truth of the matter is, the strength of a relationship lies in what happens in the private place than more than what happens in the public space. So in fact, the rise and the fall of any relationship is dependent on what happens in the private space. Right? So the idea is this, that normalize doing things in private, then it becomes easy for you to do them in public. Right? That's why you find people over exerting and overextending themselves and just being too much in public, because they don't do this. They are overcompensating in public simply because they don't do this in private. All right. So don't tell me you love me in public if you can't tell me in private. Do not touch me in public if you can't touch me in private. That is the whole idea. To say, as much as we want to, do the whole thing in public, but let's normalize doing it in private. Now, to answer your question, where did it go wrong? Social media went wrong. It has painted us a wrong picture of what a relationship is. It seems like people have that pressure of publicizing and being marriage goals or relationship goals or couple goals. And we're focused so much on what people say and the likes and the shares and being this public, couples that are known, the he's and hers. We are focused more on that, and then we have actually neglected the depth and the conversations and the intimacy, because most couples that you see in the public space are actually functional, and there's a difference between functionality and intimacy. So we say to the people, go back to the basics, and where you learn to be actually intimate and not just being functional. and wearing same clothes or matching outfits and becoming his and hers and doing TikTok challenges, this, that, and the other, right? So I think social media has really distorted our idea of what a relationship is. It's not like it used to be back in the days. Back in the days, you would have to make an effort to take a lady out. You have to ask them out. You have to leave your house, drive to wherever they are, and get them, and use a public transport or use a car, and have a conversation on the way to the movies, this, that, and the other. Now we Uber. Now we I don't know. Now we live stream. Now we connect on internet. We connect on social media.
Yeah.
Now there is no longer that need for us to be intimate and to be in like and have a personal touch and actually really get to know someone. I mean, you even see it in restaurants where couples are sitting down, both partners are on their phones. No one is asking anything to anyone, right? So that's what went wrong. Social media, we have gone to be much more fond of the social space and the people on the other side of the internet than the people that are around us, right? And we are losing a lot of life happening, a lot of precious moments with the people that we love, simply because we are so much glued to social media. And I mean, psychologists can talk about the dopamine and how that is addictive and this, that, and the other. And those are true, So we need to look at such things and say, how can we then undo some of the things? How can we find the ways of the old and follow those ways? Because they really did work in terms of fostering genuine relationships and connections.
The voice there of Themba Tom Ntuli joining us this evening outside his medical practices. He is a relationship and leadership consultant joining us this evening, 58 after 10 p.m. Central African time. I'm allowing myself this moment to breathe because Tom said quite a bit, but I want you to send your questions as well, finding us on WhatsApp +27 6340 69126. Tom, I want to talk about the inverse. There are people who are publicly and in inverted commas loving on their person, and then there are people who are privately doing that, and in the public they are reigning free and just super, I want to say, for the lack of a better word, they are displaying themselves as individuals who are not attached to a relationship, right? They are free in their own expressions, and in private they are bonded to people. Do you think that the same applies for them too? The age of interconnectivity has falsified this understanding that there are a variety of options, and so I can meddle my way through various options.
Yeah, look, I mean, and there's a number of ways, and one of the things that people actually get to do that is they get to actually protect themselves, right? And the truth of the matter is, I think social media and how things have turned out in the past 10 years or so, a lot of us have been in pursuit of instant gratification. Instead, in fact, they did a study about dating applications, dating apps, to say more often than not, the people who use them, they actually require about 70 to 80% of them, they need instant reply from the people they're chatting with. So there isn't a sense of patience that we are actually applying. We just want to do things the way we want to do them. We expect instant everything, instant gratification, instant response, instant food. And I think it's because of this new age that we are in, the fourth industrial revolution and all of that, the age of technology, this, and the other. And because of that, we've been exposed to a lot of heartbreaks because our expectations were distorted. And therefore, we find ourselves in spaces where we tend to then put, protective measures. In public, we appear as people who are guarded. We appear as people who are who are nonchalant. That's a term that has been thrown around a lot these days.
Yep.
We appear as people who are nonchalant, people who don't show emotions, people who are indifferent, in public, simply because we want to protect ourselves and to protect what we have. But then in private, we find ourselves actually being expressive. The trick is in finding a balance, right? Because you don't want to again appear as someone who is living a double lifestyle. Your partner must not be confused about you. They need to be sure and be, and be certain about the love that you have for them. And as much as you're not an expressive and an extroverted person in public, but it's okay for you to time and again make it known to them that you love them even in public. right? So sometimes the protective measures and the defense mechanisms that we are putting around us can be good in protecting our hearts because we've been broken before, we've been taken advantage before, but more often than not, sometimes they can actually be a problem and a stumbling block in the very same relationship because you don't want to find yourself in a space where you're so guarded in public that your partner is not sure about where they stand with you in a public space. So so in a sense that you find people that in private they are lovey-dovey, in public don't touch me,
Yeah.
don't hold my hand. Like you even using like you can't even walk together in public. It raises a lot of question. And most relationships thrive on security. In fact, relationships thrive on security.
Yeah.
If your partner is secured in your love, and one of the ways they can be secured is how you handle them, both in private and in public. You cannot say you love me and you're so expressive in private, but when you're in a public space, you are a stranger. You don't want to touch me, you don't want to talk to me, you don't want to look at me, you don't even want people to know that we're together. It doesn't work like that, right? So we're not saying be a YouTuber that publicize your relationship all the time and say, hi guys, I come back. We're not saying that. But what we are saying is that let your partner know you love them, whether it's in the private space or in the public space. Assure them because we can't run away from the fact that in the public space, we still want to know our place. Like, right? I still need to know that I'm yours. I still need to know that in the midst of other people, you still see me, and they know that you see me.
Yeah. Mr. Tom, we don't have much time together, unfortunately, but I do want you to leave us with a parting shot for somebody who's looking to step into relationshiping, if you will. Somebody who's saying, listen, I don't want to be the nonchalant who thinks that chalant is a problem. Yes, I want to be proactive. I want to be intentional. What would you say to them?
Look, there's a number of things. Number one, prioritize. I normally say quality over quantity. More often than not, we want to chase quantity. We want a number of dates, a number of gifts, and this, that, and the other. Those things are important, but they're not so important. So prioritize quality in a relationship, quality conversations, quality moments together, quality times together. Prioritize that over quantity. Number two, do not be afraid of being vulnerable. Okay, and especially to men, amachita. Most men are guarded. They are concrete. They don't open up about their emotions. So prioritize that, the vulnerability. It's okay for you to open up about how you feel. It's okay for people to get to know your real heart and your mind, right? And the last one, focus on self-awareness. You cannot love somebody else if you don't know yourself better. Be aware of your love language, be aware of your needs, be aware of what makes you happy, what makes you sad. Then, and if you are aware of that, it's easy for you to attract someone who is more or less compatible with you. But often than not, if you are not aware and you're not so sure of yourself, you get to be, to date any Tom, Dick, and Harry out there. And then you find people that are not compatible and then it breaks your heart, right? So the only way, and one of the best ways to actually guard your heart is for you to learn yourself, love yourself, be aware of yourself, and you can attract people of the same caliber.
Mr. Tom, we need more time. Unfortunately, today is not the day, but we are calling you back. I'm telling my producer, okay? Because we need to hear more of this fruitful counsel. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Sheila, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
That is the voice of Themba Tom Ntuli joining us this evening. He is the head of medical and scientific affairs at a global pharmaceutical company. But today, addressing us on our level, a relationship and leadership consultant who spoke to the aloofness that presently exists in romantic relationships. This nonchalant, listen, you can come or go. I'll be okay. I'm good with you around, but I'm also good without you. If that's where you find yourself, I want you to buckle up, because that was part one of a twofold conversation that I think will rock your boat and get you thinking about the people that you're connecting to. For now, let's get some music.
When the sun